Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've ever picked up the books or watched the films, you already know that stepping into the world of Middle-earth means stepping into a universe with an insanely deep, dense history. We're talking thousands upon thousands of years of lore, ancient languages, and rich mythology. But what if we took all of that massive, sprawling myth and just condensed it into a single, clear, linear journey? Well, that is exactly what we're going to do today. We are going to map out the complete history of this world, from the absolute dawn of time all the way to the end of magic itself.
So, let's just dive right into this. How did Middle-earth actually begin? To answer that, we've got to look way past the familiar Third Age stuff, the Hobbits, the Wandering Rangers, the Wizards. We actually need to rewind the clock way back, far beyond the forging of the Rings of Power, right back to the vast, cosmic dawn of the universe itself.
And here is our chronological roadmap for getting there. We're going to start with the creation of the world, then move through the First Age of Arda, the Second Age and Númenor, the Third Age, the War of the Ring, and finally wrap things up with the Fourth Age.
Section 1. The creation of the world. So the crucial point here is that in the very beginning, before time was even a concept, there was a supreme being named Ilúvatar, and he created this group of godlike, angelic beings called the Ainur. Together, they essentially sang the universe into existence through the Ainur, which was this holy music and chanting that formed the entire vision of reality. Eru then simply spoke the word Ea, which literally translates to be, bringing the material universe into actual existence. And the world we know as Arda, or Earth, was formed as this globe floating right in the middle of that vast void.
Now, in these early days, we aren't dealing with normal time. Time is measured in vast Valian years, which are exponentially longer than our standard solar years. When the greatest of the Ainur, who are known as the Valar, entered the universe, they tried to shape the world. But there was a Dark Lord, named Melkor, the most powerful among them, who wanted it all for himself. And this sparked the First War. His initial act of discord right here is literally the root cause of absolutely every conflict we're about to explore. The Valar had originally designed Arda as this perfectly symmetrical, flat disk, lit by two massive lamps. But in Valinor 3450, Melkor completely destroyed those lamps. That one act shattered the perfect symmetry of the world forever, creating entirely new continents and seas. The Valar ended up retreating to the western continent of Valinor, where they created the two trees to bring a new light, essentially leaving Middle-earth in darkness.
Section 2. The First Age of Arda. All right, so the divine conflict now crashes down to Middle-earth, sparking this devastating centuries-long war. The First Age, which is now measured in years of the sun, is defined by the incredibly tragic, bloody wars of Beleriand. Elves and men have awakened and they're fighting desperately against Melkor, who is now known as Morgoth, the Dark Enemy. We see the glorious victory at Dagor Agalev, but that's followed by some absolutely devastating losses at the Battle of Sudden Flame and the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. And here is a vital anchor point if you're mostly familiar with the later stories. Sauron, the famous Dark Lord, originally he was just a servant. He was merely a lieutenant to this much darker, immensely more powerful master, Morgoth. It literally took the direct intervention of the Valar in the apocalyptic War of Wrath to finally defeat Morgoth and cast him out into the void. Section 3. The Second Age and Númenor.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because with Morgoth gone, a totally new era begins and is defined by massive shifts in power. The men who helped fight Morgoth were rewarded with the great island kingdom of Númenor, and they rise to unprecedented levels of power. But meanwhile, back in Middle-earth, Sauron reemerges. Working in a deceptive disguise, he actually teaches the elves to craft the Rings of Power, while secretly forging the one ring in the fires of Mount Doom to control them all. Back over on Númenor, the kings are growing proud and increasingly fearful of death. Sauron eventually allows himself to be captured by them, only to completely corrupt her final king into launching an unthinkable, full-scale assault against the Vala themselves. And this, tragically, leads to the total destruction of their island home.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the consequences here, because the cosmic fallout from that arrogance was literal and absolute. Because the Númenorians defied the divine ban, the supreme being Eru Ilúvatar directly intervened. He completely reshaped the physical universe. The flat Earth cosmology, where men and elves could physically sail west to reach the divine realm of Valinor, was changed forever. The world was literally bent into a spherical globe. Valinor was completely removed from the physical dimensions of the world, making it accessible now only to the elves traveling along a hidden straight road. It's a massive, literal paradigm shift acting as the ultimate punishment for human pride.
Section 4. The Third Age.
So, zooming into the Third Age, this is really a story about the waning power of the free peoples. The survivors of Númenor had founded the great realms of Ainur and Gondor, but look at what happens. Ainur is utterly destroyed by the Witch King of Angmar. The royal line of Gondor completely fails, leaving the kingdom to be run by stewards. Even the great dwarven kingdom of Moria is wiped out by a Balrog, which is a terrifying leftover from the First Age. But there is this glimmer of hope hidden in the shadows. The heirs of Isildur haven't actually died out. They've become wandering rangers up in the north, keeping their royal bloodline completely unbroken. They're just waiting. Even as Sauron secretly recovers his strength, and the events of the Hobbits slowly start to unfold.
Section 5. The War of the Ring. After thousands of years of this slow, sweeping history, suddenly the fate of the entire world gets compressed into just a matter of mere weeks in the year 3019. We see these massive, seemingly hopeless conflicts erupting everywhere. The Battle of the Hornburg, the devastating siege at the Pelennor Fields, and that final, desperate distraction at the Morannon, the Black Gate. But the true victory, the real turning point, happens quietly in the fires of Mount Doom. That's where the One Ring is finally unmade, Sauron's physical form is entirely destroyed, and Aragorn finally takes his rightful place, restoring the ancient line of kings.
I think it's really worth pausing on this quote from Tolkien himself, just to add a bit of philosophical weight to what we've just seen. You see, he viewed this massive epic not merely as a fun fantasy adventure, but as an imagined prehistory of our own Earth, filled with deep theological echoes. The struggles between light and dark, the creation of the world through music, the fall of men through pride, these aren't just cool plot points. They are baked into the metaphysical laws of the universe he built. It's what gives the history of Arda its profound sense of consequence and moral gravity.
Section 6. The Fourth Age.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the Fourth Age gently brings our grand narrative to a close by ushering in the dominion of men. The time of the elves is officially over. They board their ships at the Grey Havens and sail that hidden straight road into the west, slowly fading from human history. The dwarves, too, slowly diminish and retreat deeper into their mountains. This age acts as the crucial bridge. It explains exactly how the highly magical, mythological world of Arda transitions over thousands of years into our own modern Earth, a place where these incredible events are remembered only as faint echoes in our folklore and our legends.
And that brings us to the end of our timeline. But it leaves us with a pretty profound question to consider. With Middle-earth reshaped into the Earth we know today, how much of this imagined prehistory mirrors our own myths? When you look at the destruction of Númenor or the fading of the elves, it really forces you to wonder about the shared legends of humanity across the globe. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the ages of Arda. I really hope this explainer has given you a whole new appreciation for the epic, sweeping scope of Middle-earth.